The storm hit Greywater station without warning. Sand hissed against the hulls of grounded freighters and turned the dawn a bruised dark purple. Rafi was closing the shutters of his repair stall when a small figure slammed into his knees. She was no taller than his tool bench, all copper skin and pale glow lines pulsing at her temples. Her black eyes were glassed with panic. "Please help my mother, human, she's dying," she cried, words tumbling in a dialect from the border moons. "Please." "Tears," she swallowed, fighting hiccuping sobs. "Please." Rafi's training. Half a paramedic course abandoned when the station clinic shut down, half instinct, pulled tighter than fear. "Where?" She caught his hand with 3 small fingers and dragged him into the grit. Around them, shutters clanged, merchants shouted for their drones. Someone yelled at Rafi to get inside, that the Wardens had ordered everyone to shelter until the storm passed. He went anyway. They cut through the bazaar, through a gap in the sealed freight crates, into the salvage yards where busted ships lay like whales on a beach. The child led him to a gutted courier, its hull stenciled in a script Rafi didn't recognize. Inside, the air smelled of hot metal and copper blood. The mother lay on the deck, suit torn from ribs to hip, a pressure patch peeling at the edge. Her breath came shallow, a wet flutter. The glow lines at her throat were dim. The child knelt and clutched her hand. "Mama, I brought help." "A human." Rafi dropped beside them, scanning fast. No atmosphere breach. Someone had sealed the hatch. No medkit in the ship that he could see. He unpacked his own battered field bag. Sealant, a portable infuser, a neural stim, a hand scanner with too few licensed modules. "I'm Rafi," he told the woman, and then the name the child had used. "Mama. Can you hear me?" A sliver of an eye opened. "Why yes. My Ina," she whispered, nodding toward the child. "Help her." "We're helping you both," Rafi said. He pressed the scanner to her side. The display showed a poorly translated mess of vitals his software wasn't built to parse. Different blood salts, too many oxygen carriers, a heart that beat in 3 pulses like a braided rope. But blood was blood and air was air. He resealed the tear with a thermal pad, the adhesive smoking before it cooled. He set his infuser to a conservative drip, guessing volume by weight and hoping universal electrolyte would not harm. The woman's breath eased barely. The little one, Ina, watched his hands with a ferocious, fragile hope. "Wardens wouldn't open the clinic," she said. "No credits. No registry. They said we were trouble." Rafi's jaw tightened. He had seen it before. Greywater claimed neutrality, but its rules were written against the desperate. He tapped his earbud and pinged the clinic anyway. No line. Storm blackout. Just as well. He worked. He flushed grit from the wound with sterile wash. He checked her airway. He listened to the strange cadence of that triple beat and tried to align his stims to it. He would get her stable, get them both to his stall when the storm passed, find someone with a broader database. Then the ship groaned, metal shifting. A filtered bellow sounded at the hatch. Wardens. Through the porthole, their storm helmets loomed like beetle shells. "Open up!" A voice barked through the intercom. "Unregistered vessel. Harboring illegal biohazards during a lockdown is a criminal offense." Ina flinched. The mother's fingers spasmed around her daughter's hand. Rafi stood, anger steadying him. "This is a medical emergency," he called. "She's bleeding out." "That is not a registered species," the warden replied. "Step away and open the hatch." Rafi looked at Ina's face. The idea of stepping away scraped something raw inside him. "Give me 10 minutes," he said. "Or write me up later." Beat of silence. 5, the warden said. Then we cut in. Rafi let out a breath he hadn't known he was holding. Okay. We can do 5. He returned to the mother. Her skin had cooled beneath his fingers. The glow lines on her temples flickered like a failing relay. He needed more than a seal and drip. He needed to know what she was. He needed a map of her biology. Ina tugged at his sleeve. Her gill ports, she whispered, pointing to the faint slits behind her mother's jaw. Storm dust clogs them. She can breathe air but, she mimed, scraping. Thank you, Rafi said. He swabbed the ports, gently teasing out packed grit with a microbrush until the tissue glistened clean. The next breath the woman took was deeper. The triple beat steadied. Good, Rafi murmured. He keyed the stim to a lower amplitude and altered the interval, matching it to that braided rhythm. The monitor blinked greenish. Mama, Ina breathed, tears finally spilling. For joy this time or fear, Rafi couldn't tell. The hatch boomed with a warning cut. Sparks showered in the corridor. Rafi positioned himself between the door and the girls while his infuser hummed, a flimsy barrier. His shoulders squared like he was built of anything more than stubbornness. The cutters died abruptly. Another voice rose outside, older, hoarser. Marjam, the spice seller who'd once stitched Rafi's own arm after a compressor accident. Warden, she said, you cut that hatch and those seals blow, and we all eat dust. Let the boy finish. We have procedures, the warden snapped. And we have a child in there begging in a storm, Marjam shot back. Greywater isn't a corpse port. We help. Silence again, stretched thin as wire. Then the intercom clicked. 2 minutes, the warden said. Make them count. Rafi worked faster. He secured the patch with a mesh band, followed Ina's cues to lay her mother's shoulders at a precise angle so the gill ports could drain. He listened for the braided heartbeat, coaxed it with the stim through one last stutter, and then felt it catch on its own, that rope of life pulling. The woman opened her eyes, clearer now. Ina, she said, and her voice carried strength. Brave one. Ina laughed and sobbed at once. Mama. The hatch finally swung, the wardens crowding the doorway, Marjam behind them, her scarf full of sand. The warden's visor tilted toward the patient, toward Rafi's infuser. Their hand hovered near a sanction pad, then fell. Move them when the storm passes, the warden said, almost grudging. Your stall. We'll reassess after. Marjam winked at Rafi as if to say, we are not as small as our rules. They waited out the worst of the storm together inside the dead ship. Rafi brewed heater coffee on his portable burner and poured warm water for Ina in a cup that once held screws. The mother dozed, the glow lines at her temples now burning steadily, not too bright. When she woke fully, she reached for Rafi's wrist. In our tongue, she said, the word for stranger also means one who tests the heart. Today, human, you passed. I just did what anyone should, Rafi said, embarrassed, and also a little changed by the way she looked at him, like he had done more than clamp a wound. When the storm finally thinned, they moved slowly, carefully, through air that smelled of wet dust and new promises. People stepped aside. Some offered blankets. Ina never let go of Rafi's sleeve until he settled her mother on his cot, the tools of his trade pushed aside to make space for a life he hadn't expected. Later, as Greywater returned to its noise, the mother pressed a small charm into Rafi's palm. 3 thin wires braided into a loop, the pattern of a heartbeat he now recognized.